Hey everyone, welcome. Zazie here. Today we'll be talking about the man who defeated Napoleon in battle. And no, not Napoleon's final battle at Waterloo, but a battle, nevertheless, right? Napoleon participated in 81 battles and only lost 11, which is kind of insane on its own. But the man responsible for one of those defeats also thought he was pregnant with an elephant. Yes, an elephant. This is the story of Field Marshal, I'm sorry if I butcher this, Johann Leberich von Blücher. He was born in 1742 in Rostock, Germany. Both of his parents belonged to noble families, with his father also being a retired army captain. Johann decided to follow in his father's footsteps, and when he was 16, joined the Swedish army as a hussar, one of those guys who rides horses with swords. When he joined, the 7 Years' War was underway, and after a little under 2 years in the army, Blücher went into battle for the first time. He joined the Pomeranian campaign, which is where Sweden was fighting Prussia. During the battle, he was captured by the Prussian hussars. However, as fate would have it, the colonel of the hussars, Wilhelm Sebastian von Belling, just rolling past the captured hussars, was like, wait a minute, I recognize that guy. And he happened to be a distant relative of Blücher, and Belling liked Blücher's fighting tenacity, and decided to have Blücher join his regiment. During the rest of the 7 Years' War, Blücher gained a lot of experience, but had also gained an incredible spirit for fighting. This spirit of his got him into trouble more than once, including a mock execution of a priest during the Polish uprising of 1772. There isn't much about this mock execution, but I like to imagine it went something like this. Hey, Mr. Priest, heard you're working with the Polish. Oh, we're so gonna kill you. You better start praying. Nah, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Anyways, forget I did that. So because of this mock execution, he was passed over for promotion to major, and he was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm out. And sent a rude letter of resignation, of which Frederick the Great responded with, Captain Blücher can take himself to the devil, which is a nice way of saying go to hell. For the next 15 years, Blücher had settled down, become financially independent, but something was not right.
I need it. I need to fight. I need it. I need to go to war.
Not really, but he couldn't go back to the military so long as Frederick lived. However, in 1786, the monarch finally died. Woo! Let's go! He's dead! Army time, baby! Blücher was then reinstated as a major. In the next few years, he was in many different battles, and by 1801, he was promoted to lieutenant general. Now, the Napoleonic Wars start, and it was not looking good for Blücher. After a series of losses and retreats, Blücher was forced to surrender, but insisted that clauses be written saying he only lost due to lack of provisions and ammo. He was eventually traded for some other marshal and employed in Pomerania, but the war ended soon after. In 1813, the War of Liberation had broken out, and he led an army of 40,000 Prussians and 50,000 Russians. After defeating 2 marshals, he was able to defeat Napoleon at the Battle of the Nations at Leipzig. Blücher beat Napoleon, like the guy who's famous for being incredibly good at military strategies, and they literally just made a movie about him. Unfortunately for Blücher, he was not able to beat Napoleon again, or at least by himself. Napoleon then beat Blücher at 3 separate cities that I'm not going to try to pronounce, and during this time, he also took part in 3 other battles, and with all this occurring over 2 months, it took a giant strain on his mental health. Because of this, he had a mental breakdown where he lost his sight and believed that a Frenchman impregnated him with an elephant. Unfortunately, this is literally the only passage I could find on it, so unfortunately we'll never know if he gave birth to the elephant. Eventually, his sight and sanity came back to him, and he was eventually able to continue fighting. After the war, he was given many gifts from different countries, and even the University of Oxford gave an honorary doctorate. With these gifts came some land, which he would retire on, but you know this war fiend would not stay retired, and the 100-Day Wars broke out. He was defeated in battle, and now as an old man was stuck underneath his horse and was trampled on by his own cavalry. After bathing his wounds in a liniment of rhubarb and garlic, he rejoined his army. At this point, he's 74 years old and covered in wounds, only healed by rhubarb and garlic. However, he is still riding through mud. While marching, he said, I hear you say it's impossible, but it has to be done. I have given my promise to Wellington, and you surely don't want me to break it. Push yourselves, my children, and we'll have victory. Once he made it to Wellington, he was able to help push back Napoleon, eventually leading to his final defeat in Waterloo. Blücher then retired from war and died at home at the age of 76. After his death, a mausoleum was built for his remains. When Krivolowitz, the town he lived in, was conquered by the Red Army in 1945, Soviet soldiers broke into the Bucher Mausoleum and scattered his remains. Soviet troops then used his skull as a football. Eventually, some of the remains were taken to a Polish priest and entered in the catacomb of the Church of Sosnica, where he could finally have peace. This was the story of Jepan Lebarich von Blücher, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment about another story or something you would like to learn about. And yeah, have a great day.